Hello, enchanters and enchantresses. I am back looking at talking about today dual element builds of Enchantress. So I've been thinking about this a lot. Obviously, I waited like a little bit longer than I normally would to post a video because I really wanted to do a little bit more research and also find some lists that really speak to me for this one. Now, obviously, I have my own build, the Dank build, that uses the Koinixies and Abaddon Succubuses. This is basically the Dank Necromancer list, but I've switched out some cards for the the Dank package, as we'll call it, right? The Thin Ices and Koinixies and that stuff. So we'll talk. I'll show that one at the end. But I want to talk about a deck that completely blew me out of the water at SCG DC. And Joey played that, and it was just phenomenal. And so that one is a. Let me go to it. So this is a air fire enchantress list, and it completely wrecked me. 100% just blew me out of the water at DC, and it wasn't even from things like the drought that are main deck in this one that is just fine all by itself. He did get me with Salty Earth, but it didn't really matter by that point in the game. Now, one of the things we'll notice here about playing, let's call it Smoke Enchantress, is that you don't get what I consider to be Enchantress's most powerful card, which is Atlantean Fate. So you have to trade off Atlantean Fate for the bonuses that you're getting in Fire, right? So Salty Earth, certainly a great card. It has similar features, and Drought sort of does, against particularly water decks, does a very great Atlantean Fate imitation as far as messing with their mana, right? And same thing with Salty Earth, does the messing with the mana part. But what I really like about this deck is you get to play both Great Famine and Black Plague, which are two of my all-time favorite cards in the game. I'm a big, back in the day when I used to play a lot of Magic, the Abyss was one of my all-time favorite cards. So being able to animate an Abyss and move it around the board, to me, is like one of the coolest parts of the synergies of Enchantress. And then, of course, Wildfire and Thunderstorm. No surprises there. This particular list is only playing 12 auras. I'm a 16 aura guy by and large. Let me think. I'm playing 14, actually. I think the ideal number is like between 16 and 18. We're not at ideal numbers yet. We need another set to come out that has some more playable auras that will take up the places of some more lackluster minions that we kind of have to play, right? So anyhow, this particular list, I want to highlight a couple things. Of course, we've got Tor's Hammer Trinkets. We've got the Four Waters. Of course, why not play Char Umphalos if you can, right? Like, if you're just gonna get a free roll on Umphalos, you might as well play it, right? And then, of course, Ring of Morgan. So then you get to play some aggressive minions like Colicky Dragon. I got blown out by Majusa Freet because my opponent was able to play Active Volcano into a Dark Tower, and a turn 2 Majusa Freet is hard for anyone to deal with. And then on top of that, the fact that you get to play Wuthering Heights with Majusa Freet, so you can basically make it so that you're on your opponent's side of the board, already ready to mess around with them and stuff. And then you've got, of course, the Kobolds, the Powies, Stormgeist, Angry Mob is a one-of, which is a sneaky little one-of. Bane of Adventus, which can just completely blow. I might have played 6 Savior decks over the course of the last 2 SCG Con events I've gone to. I know that's an outlier for me. Not a lot of there weren't a ton of other decks, but I did play against the same guy twice. Evan, I believe his name was. But anyhow, Bane of Adventus would have just been so shocking to like throw down and be like, I now own your guys. Monstrous Lion, which I liked when I used to play the what's called more aggressive version of my Enchantress deck. I played Monstrous Lion. The mana wasn't there to support 3 colors, and I really want to be able to play Thunderstorm and Wildfire and Atlantean Fate. And I think the best way to do that is by splashing the easiest thing, which is Wildfire. It's a shame that Thunderstorm costs 2 air threshold and Wildfire only costs 1. Wildfire probably should cost 2 fire threshold. But if Thunderstorm costs 1 air threshold, I would be probably splashing air and playing fire water. And we'll talk about Fire Water build shortly, a Steam build, as it were. Anyhow, Montrose Lion, Sir Lamorak is just an all-star in this particular mash of elements. Don't know what Witherwing hero does that maybe it's fine, but I think that I don't know, like I guess if your opponent's attacking your Quarrelsome Kobold, you get them back. I'm not sold on this. And I'm sure that there's room in this deck to talk about like changing things back and forth a little bit. Of course, the Dapperl Vampire, Hounds, Balor of the Evil Eye, and Death Dealer, and then 3 Whirling Blades, which I think we're going to have to add a Whirling Blades to the Dank deck. 2 Betrayal, Word Spasm, Infiltrate, Grapple Shot, Blaze of Glory, and of course Browse. If you can play Browse, I highly suggest it. It's one of the best cards in the game. So looking at this deck, it's a highly aggressive, like almost to the point where it's more aggressive than, say, a Pathfinder list. This deck could keep up with a Pathfinder list as far as the threats, and your threats are overrate against a lot of the lower rung stuff. The Warhorse and the Wild Fanatic. Your threats are just a little bit more potent. So I really like this deck in a highly aggressive meta, especially because you've got your Wildfires and your Thunderstorms to clear off some of the early guys, and you'll be able to do that pretty easily. And then Whirling Blades can just clear up the board, and then you can get in, your final grab with a Betrayal or an Infiltrate or something like that, or even Word Spasm. Not a whole lot to say here about the sites. He's playing Joyous Guard. I'm not sure the Joyous Guard or Glastonbury Tour is better than maybe like another card. Sea of Ash is an interesting one as well. There's a lot here that I think could use tweaking. Conjuring a Lance is interesting, and I think he did use it against me to great effect. Making your Majusa Freet a 5-power first striking guy was devastating to me. Of course, Fields of Camelon's great. Who's going to complain about that? As long as you don't need it for mana and have to kill half of your board, you're doing great. Especially if you're playing Enchantress, Fields of Camelon's awesome because it's a non-spell that blows up the entire board, and then you can turn on by casting a spell your auras. So that's pretty sick. And then there is you can see that there is a collection here, but there's nothing to get anything from the collection, so let's not even worry about talking about that. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield. They just dropped an advanced search engine for Sorcery: The Contested Realm. If you want to browse every available card or dig deep with powerful search filters, head over to sorcery.moxfield.com. You can even click on the search syntax button on the main page to see all the terms you can use. And don't worry, when new cards are revealed from official sources, Moxfield updates quickly. Now on to the show. So then I want to talk about Fire Water, right? Fire Water Enchantress. This is a build of my own making, but after talking with a lot of people and seeing how good Jihad is, and Jihad is a 3-power minion. A lot of people brought this up to me. Jihad is a 3-power minion when you animate it because it is a fire minion, and it's giving all fire minions +1, right? The putting guys into play doesn't really matter a lot of times unless you've got a build for this, right? You've got the Dragonette, you've got the Majusa Freet, the Morgana Le Fay, the Ormanfester. Doesn't really do anything with there because obviously it's not a fire minion. But your kobolds, your Powies, right? Angry Mob, Lion. Like putting a Lion right next to your opponent and just smashing in for 5 off the Jihad is so good. And then and we're even looking at, hey, look, throw a Char in there as well. I'm not 100% on just throw a Char in there, but most of this deck is fire. So it's not the worst. Even the magics are mostly fire. Then you still get to play the Dank package with the Thin Ice and the Troll Bridges, right? And the Koinixies and the Abaddon Succubuses. And you get to play things like Riptide. Riptide doubles as like your Blink, but also can run your opponent into a Troll Bridge or a Thin Ice. So I like that a lot. I think Sea of Ash is fine here. Oftentimes, I think that Sea of Ash is interesting in this deck because we do have a lot of trouble dealing with a Root Spider. And unless you have like a Great Famine, a lot of times it's hard to deal with a Root Spider, especially unless you have a Silence. You know, you need something like Atlantean Fate will work as well, right? But otherwise, you're just kind of turning off your guys and giving your opponent a chance to like trade up with their cards to stop your cards, and I don't like that personally. So I say don't let that happen. So this deck also doesn't have a collection. We're not running a collection here either, which I think is okay. When you're playing one of these more aggressive decks, I don't think it's really necessary to be like, oh, we need to play play some number of toolboxes to make this happen. You could take out the Umphalos and the Four Waters and put into toolboxes, but these can be very powerful early plays that just kind of set your opponent on the back end, especially if you're playing against another like mid-range control deck. An Umphalos that gains you 2 to 3 cards in a game is enough to win you the game a lot of times. But what I like about this build as well is it's also a very aggressive build, right? So you can do a lot with very little as far as what you're putting together with a fire water build. And you can be aggressive. You can basically pivot and turn the corner very fast with a deck like this. Okay, so next up, we're going to talk about my Dank list. And I'm going to make some changes to it sort of immediately so that you can see where my head's at with this list. So first off, I think that it's time, guys. We have to just get on with the fact that we can no longer play Lord of Lies. Lord of Lies is not good enough. I think we got to up the Whirling Blades to 3 Whirling Blades. And then we can sit and think for a second. What would be another great card to throw into this position? I think, personally speaking, that I think we can use one more Sphere of Animosity. I found that Sphere of Animosity was just all time against decks like Pathfinder or any sort of deck that they're moving their avatar a lot. Battle Mage, man, I locked down a Battle Mage with Sphere of Animosity, so that was really good. Now you'll see I am splashing for a little bit of fire in this deck because I think that there are some fire cards that are just absolutely bonkers. Like Poison Nova, to me, I'm playing a more mid-range style deck, so I want the Poison Novas. The Infiltrate, obviously great against anybody who's trying to play a big dude and you're just like, I'll take that and get it off the board. It doubles, it's like removal, and it's a way to stop your opponent from having like an amazing guy, but also that you can attack them with stealth and they can't block. So that's really good. And then, of course, like I said, you need Wildfire. And this is why I'm splashing fire here, not like splashing air, right? If Thunderstorm costs 1 threshold, I would be splashing air for sure. Like, I really like Black Plague. I think it's great. But I would play Great Famine instead in a second, right? Sphere of Animosity is interesting for sure. But Invasion is a card that, like, as a mid-range deck, that I think is very, very compelling. Of course, I love Silences. I think Acid Rain is like right on the cusp of playable, and we'll see as the next set comes out. Especially, hey, with Quartz being a thing now, Acid Rain may become more overrepped. We might be seeing more of that. I don't really have much to say about my threat base. I don't think I'd really add any air minions right now. Like I could add, I could take out Dr. Demetrius and maybe like an Angel's Egg and play 2. Maybe take out the 2 Angel's Eggs and play 2. We're gonna do that right now. Actually, I have been underwhelmed by Angel's Egg, so let's put in Dapperls. I think Dapperl is where we want to be now, especially if we're running the what's called the 3 Whirling Blades. Dapperl just goes up in stock just a little bit. So, and then I think we're good with the mana base here. I am playing 1 Garden of Eden as basically a water site that stops my opponent from drawing cards. I don't have any card draw. An option here for me was to add the Grandmaster Wizard instead of playing the Lord of Lies, but I do like just knocking out any of the decks that are looking to draw extra cards, and any of the decks like what's called that have a Omphalos or anything like that. Just that incidental like hate it feels good to me, and especially like if you're playing against what's it called, Archimago. All of their cards, they draw a card. So it just makes it hard for them to gain that momentum to get you out of the game early, and then allows you that time that you need to roll up on them. Of course, like if you're playing water, I think you got to be playing Mesmerism. I think Mesmerism is one of the most broken cards in the game. Uncontested, especially the fact that like your guy can just attack, like your opponent's guy can now attack immediately. Summoning Sickness isn't a thing in this game. I really like Scatter here. I didn't even think about what is. Hold on, everybody. I want to check real fast. What is the fire water spell? I'm gonna check because I forget. Guys, did they not make a fire water spell? Apparently they didn't. The gold spell. Huh. Did not even realize or think about that. I like a 1/1 split with polymorph. Riptide and Blink. A magic missiles and a lightning bolt to close out the game if you need to, or to just be a little bit of extra. I think you need these against a deck like Pathfinder or not Pathfinder, Imposter, to like get them off of the Imposter a little bit. To me, that these two have been worth their weight in gold when I snap up one of my opponents with one of these, or being able to use a toolbox to get a zap or a lightning bolt against them. I have always found that to be very useful, especially because toolbox on turn 2, if you know that they're Pathfinder, you know that they're spending their turn 3 either putting a guy down. They're not going to cast a thing to get rid of your toolbox. And if they do, you're kind of in a great position there because you've gotten them on tempo on a play that you didn't actually need to make. So I wouldn't even be sad that they wasted a card from their hand to get rid of your toolbox. Again, they're not going to do that. So for me, I like being able to play a toolbox into a zap or a lightning bolt out of my collection to just snap them and smack them around so that they don't get to convert on their Pathfinder from their Imposter. So yeah, you'll note here, I have not included, because I really need to do more research on it, and I don't want to speak on that style of build until I talk with probably Lauren. I'm going to see Lauren on Saturday for the Cornerstone. I'm going to defend my title as the Cornerstone champion of Top Deck Games in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, as the Enchantress champion. So I want to talk with Lauren, possibly run a podcast with Lauren and talk about Earth Enchantress. I know that a lot of people have been turning me on to Entrapping Terrain or Ensnaring Terrain. I forget what it's called. And just figuring out how that works on the realm and if that's worth a splash. As I talked about last time, it just doesn't seem like air really has enough that is compelling me to jump into air in the aura section, but we might be able to supplement that with some of the more fancy earth. I was talking about earth creatures. So I think that if we look a little bit deeper, I can offer you something that's more than just my thoughts on an earth build. So I'm going to meet up with Lauren and chat more about that, and hopefully we'll have something very interesting for you to check out. But with that said, I want to thank everybody for the support. I'm going to continue making these videos. The people that have paid for this content are going to get it much earlier than everybody else. So when you see this on YouTube, it's probably already been out for a week or two, and that's not going to matter a ton right now. But when the next set comes out and I'm dropping builds like daily, you're going to want to be involved with seeing this content early, or at least before you go to your weekly or whatnot. And also so that you can look and see what cards you should be picking up for those new builds when the new set drops. I am 100% sure a new set will drop. Don't ask me how I know that. I just know that. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I will catch you on the flip. It looks like you're enjoying the show. Become a member on Patreon or YouTube to support Common Sense. The Sorcerer tier gives you early access to sorcery videos completely ad-free, and the Magician tier extends that access to our Magic the Gathering videos as well. Our member support helps us create more sorcery content for the community. Become a member and help us help you contest the realm.